Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. There's an article on your screen from the Crypto Basic that highlights, from their perspective, that what's going on with the collapse of FTX and also regarding the SEC v. Ripple case. These are things that are going to put XRP effectively on a launch pad. Because, and there are a number of reasons, frankly, we've already seen that we're at the bottom of like, say the FTX stuff never happened, say it never collapsed. We were already at the bottom of a bear market or very close to it. So fine, we saw another major capitulation due to this wild card event that almost 0% of humans on the planet were expecting, but it did happen. And so we saw a major move down for crypto prices, which frankly isn't surprising in the least. But for those who were ready, and I'm not telling you, anybody listening, what to do in terms of buying, selling, hold, or whatever, but that was a major opportunity for those that wanted to accumulate more, including myself. I made some of the largest crypto purchases I ever did 2 days in a row. And if there's another major drop, I'm gonna unload even more capital. I'm that confident. That's just my personal opinion. And so if you look at what happened with FTX, okay, yeah, that's an obvious one. It created lower prices, which is opportunity. It's still absolutely horrendous what happened to all the people that lost their money on FTX. My net worth is down as a result of this, and if you're in crypto, yours is too, I'm willing to bet, not rocket science, so we're all harmed by this, but I still look at the portion that shows that there's actual opportunity because lower prices, hey, it's not going to stay down here forever. And then you look at the SEC v. Ripple case, my gosh, who thinks that there won't be a new all-time high for XRP? Does anybody actually think that? Because like, I don't know for sure, obviously, what's going to result from the SEC v. Ripple case. Maybe we'll get a horrendous ruling from Judge Torres. I kind of doubt it. Even if Ripple technically loses, I'd be willing to bet that there's going to be some good news for XRP itself because Judge Torres clearly understands how important it is to address XRP sales on secondary markets. So if you look at these two things, that's kind of what they're getting at right here. I don't really feel the need to read through the article, but you can even see they had this little subheading here. Positive developments surrounding FTX and the SEC case could be XRP's launchpad. And that's from the Crypto Basic. And I got to say, in a general sense, I pretty well agree. But I you know what I want to do? I want to highlight, and this needs to be on record, just how disgusting the mainstream media is behaving in portraying Sam Bankman-Fried, the Ponzi scammer, and FTX. They're writing puff pieces, and some of them are just wording things softly. They're not using true descriptive terms in terms of what FTX was, who SBF is. He's a fraud. He's a scammer. He's a terrible butt nugget with a fro. They should put in an article that he's a butt nugget with a fro, but instead they're just talking about how he's a philanthropist after this is a proven Ponzi scheme that resulted in the collapse of FTX, the cryptocurrency exchange, and the loss of billions of dollars. It's shocking. So I want to highlight some of the stuff. I want this on the record. I'm telling you, sit tight because this is going to make your stomach turn. It's disgusting what they're doing. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. So let's start with this one. This is from the Wall Street Journal. You want to hear the headline about the headline of the Wall Street Journal's newest article having to do with Sam Bankman-Fried? It is the following. This is the title. Sam Bankman-Fried's plans to save the world went down in flames. That's it? He had plans to save the world? Oh, poor him, but his plans just didn't work out. No, he's a damn Ponzi scammer. Look at this face. You see what that face is? That's a butt nugget with that fro. Do you see what I'm circling here? For those of you that I'm circling the fro. This is the butt nugget. And this is the fro right here. You see that? And what is the Wall Street Journal doing here? Well, Elon Musk recognized the ridiculousness of this. He shared the following with his 118.8 million followers. And he wrote in response to this, Wall Street Journal giving foot massages to a criminal. Now, here's what's interesting. Apparently, they felt the backlash because they changed the headline. They're the only ones I'm aware of that did. So I'm starting off with them. They eventually did change the headline. So they changed The headline of the story, the title of it, from Sam Bankman-Fried's plans to save the world went down in flames, to Sam Bankman-Fried said he would give away billions, broken promises are all that's left. Now, in their mind, that's better. They did not fix the problem. Said he would give away billions? Yeah, billions that weren't his money. What about the part where he's a fraud? Where's that in the headline? It's just absolutely astonishing. And so there's a well-known person in the world of crypto named Dylan LeClaire, 271,000 followers on Twitter, and he highlighted the original title before they changed it, and he wrote, "Do you get it yet?" Because mainstream media, they're lying. Like, if you want the truth, you know where people are getting the truth? They're getting it on Twitter. That's where they're getting it on Twitter. Because the mainstream media is lying and misleading people. And if you look at the financial incentives, a lot of it makes sense. And that's why Dylan LeClaire is like, do you get it yet? And then Dylan LeClaire wrote, he stole the money. Despite the launch of multiple worthless tokens, FTT, SRM, OXY, MAPS, that collectively surpassed $50 billion in value, in quotes, Alameda/FTX entities lost $3.7 billion during 2021. The money was never there. It was all lies. Here are SBF's DMs, his direct messages, where he admits the entire effective altruist character was a complete charade. The establishment media is corrupt and complicit, bought and paid for, obviously. Bigger forces at play here, folks. Now, mind you, the mainstream media has had about 2 weeks now to pick through all of the available information and come to conclusions. They're writing puff pieces for this fraudster. And look, Dylan LeClaire shared this. This is real, by the way. These were direct messages. Sam Bankman-Fried was interviewed by some reporter. I think it was from the New York Times, and these were released. So this is legit. I already know that. It's from X number of days ago. I can't remember how long. But the interviewer wrote, "You are really good at talking about ethics for someone who kind of saw it all as a game with winners and losers." And SBF responded with the following over a span of multiple, like, I don't know, what do you call them? They're not texts. He hit enter multiple times, so that they're technically six separate messages, what I'm trying to say. He wrote, "Yeah, he. I had to be. It's what reputations are made of to some extent. I feel bad for those who get effed by it. By this dumb game we woke Westerners play, where we say all the right shibboleths, and so everyone likes us." That's the quote from SBF. It's all a game to him. He had a persona. He wanted to be viewed as ethical and altruistic and philanthropic. He said he was going to give ultimately all of his money away, just give it to the people. But he was stealing from people. Billions and billions and billions of dollars. Here's what Attorney Deaton said about the original version of that Wall Street Journal title. He said, "We are witnessing one of the greatest whitewashing stories in the history of finance." Here's some other comments from Dylan LeClaire. And by the way, he was actually, to his credit, sounding, the alarm bells like, I guess, 4 or 5 days before it was on the radar of even mainstream crypto media. Check this out. Dylan LeClaire wrote, "It's insane that SBF is still referred to as a philanthropist." And just to note, that is what they cite here, even in the current Wall Street Journal article, which they retitled. They go, his firm's swift collapse wiped out his wealth and ambitious philanthropic endeavors. And they are still actually calling him a philanthropist. And then Dylan LeClaire says, Alameda started as a Ponzi. They then spun up and pumped an exchange token and Solana-based altcoins to billion-dollar valuations, while using them as collateral to borrow against user assets. He never had any money. So think about that. God, do you see what he did there? They created these coins, they're Solana-based altcoins, billion-dollar valuations, and they were holding them, and they used that, because on paper that's allegedly value, they used that as collateral to borrow against user assets. He never had any money. And then Dylan says, how were some able to see it beforehand, yet the mainstream media seemingly can't see it after the fact? Or just maybe they may have an alternate agenda. And he shared the screen grab of one of his tweets from September 4th. So that's either 4 or 5 days before the S word hit the fan, so to speak, which set off what would ultimately be FTX's filing of bankruptcy. Days after that, even. And so here's what he said. Whatever firm or firms are lending Alameda United States dollars with the collateral being FTT exchange tokens when Alameda owns a supermajority of supply and makes the market is asking to get totally wrecked. No kidding, right? Who will serve as buy-side liquidity in the scenario where the collateral has to be liquidated? And he's talking about the liquidation of FTT worth billions of dollars, 4 or 5 days before this happened. It's just fascinating stuff here. And it's amazing. Who thought that this was a good idea? These are bad lending strategies. Because again, he said, whatever firm or firm are lending Alameda United States dollars with the collateral being FTT exchange tokens with Alameda owns supermajority and they make the market. Think about that. So there were loaned money based on the fact that FTX had a certain, quote unquote valuation, but the valuation was fake. It was just based on these FTT tokens that they control that market, and people are lending them money based on that. It's complete insanity. But this is part of what was happening. And so in response to that, Attorney Deaton says, does the philanthropist have a picture of himself on all the billboard ads? Would a philanthropist use customer funds to live lavishly, purchasing over $100 million in real estate in his parents' names? Wouldn't a philanthropist worth $26 billion already have given much away? It was paper money. Exactly. And he would have, if he had that and if he wanted to, then he would have given way more away. But he didn't have, all he had was customer funds. And he used that, and he's spent over $100 million in luxurious real estate. And he did plaster himself on billboards the world over. Here's one example. This is the first one that popped up. Just for these that care to look, he's on the screen here. Here you can see it's SBF's poster in downtown San Francisco, but he was all over New York and other major cities. It was all about him. He wanted his butt nugget face with a fro all over the world for everybody to see. That was his marketing strategy because reasons. That's weird. I always thought that was weird before this, but I just was like, okay, whatever. I mean, they think that makes sense. It's their company. Freaking weird. But now you see that he's just this demented sociopath with obviously some sort of insane ego, and he's also a fraud and terrible human. So it is what it is. And then Attorney Deaton also says, the mainstream media portrayed SBF as altruistic who wanted to prevent pandemics and give his fortune away. Why are they still portraying him that way? Didn't he fool them? Shouldn't the mainstream media feel embarrassed and be angry? Obviously, they were complicit. Otherwise, they would report the facts. And so that's why I just say at this point, thank God for Twitter, because the news, when it breaks, it's on Twitter first, and you can kind of figure out ultimately what's real, what's not. But man, as far as the mainstream media reporting on this story, it is not panning out, folks. It is not panning out. Here's Charles Payne of Fox Business Network. He tweeted out the following. Having to do with this Wall Street Journal article. He said, cancel culture has wiped out a lot of people, yet the Wall Street Journal and New York Times still trying to rehab and protect the image of Sam Bankman-Fried. So many young people looking to make their way in life have been wiped out. The elites protect their own even under a microscope. And indeed, a lot of people financially benefited from the stolen funds. He donated your money to all sorts of campaigns. I'm not going to go any further than that, but that's what he did. Here's another headline. This is from New York Times. Brand new stuff here. Inside Sam Bankman-Fried's quest to win friends and influence people. Why the hell is that the headline for a story about SBF 2 weeks after the implosion of FTX and the realization that he ran a Ponzi scheme, a gigantic multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme? Why is that a headline from the New York Times? Again, this is brand new. It's Inside Sam Bankman-Fried's quest to win friends and influence people. Oh my God. And then you have Dealbook here who wrote, Sam Bankman-Fried launched the company FTX, its executives, and its philanthropic arm spent or pledged hundreds of millions of dollars in political and charitable contributions, consulting fees, investments in media outlets, and real estate. Oh, well, you're making him sound so nice and so sweet, except for you left at the part where what he donated or pledged was customer funds that weren't his. What in the ever-loving hell is wrong with these people? J.W. Verrett wrote the following on this. When people say that the New York Times is biased and corrupt, this is the story they should cite. This one. Everything about it. Spot on, J.W. Barrett. And then there was this headline from Forbes. And folks, I wasn't kidding. Like, mainstream media is going bananas. Here's the headline from Forbes. How did Sam Bankman-Fried's Alameda Research lose so much money? Oh, I'm sorry. How did they lose so much money? You mean how did they defraud customers to the tune of billions of dollars? It's insane. And Forbes wrote in this tweet here, describing the story, many details remain unknown, but a blurry picture is forming of the possible causes behind Alameda's steep losses. Oh my God. Blurry? What the hell's blurry about this? What the hell's blurry about this? The causes are known. Fine, more disgusting facts I'm sure will be uncovered, but the causes are known. What the hell is Forbes talking about? What is wrong with them? And so Attorney Deaton, he tweeted the Forbes article and he said, an absolute disgrace not to include fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, theft, and money laundering as a theory. Spot on, Attorney Deaton. And then there was this from Attorney Deaton. Because there's this start the story right. There's a tweet from the Mr. Whale account who wrote, just in, FTX owned an $11.5 million stake in a tiny rural bank in Washington state with just 3 employees, bankruptcy hearing shows. Now, folks, this is weird. The FTX had an $11.5 million stake in a tiny bank with 3 employees. Why? What is the purpose here? Well, anyway, Attorney Deaton shared the following information. He's retweeted that and he said, $11.5 million stake in a rural bank with 3 employees. That must be one of SBF's altruistic investments. A tiny bank with 3 employees worth $5 million, and SBF's Alameda pays 2 times the value to have a stake in the bank. Quote, the bank, Farmington State Bank in Washington State, has a single branch and, until this year, just 3 employees. It did not offer online banking or even a credit card, end quote. What the hell kind of bank is that? Here's another quote. Before the acquisition, Farmington's deposits had been steady at about $10 million for a decade. But in the third quarter this year, the bank's deposits jumped nearly 600% to $84 million. Nearly all of that increase, $71 million, came from just 4 new accounts. It's unclear how FTX was allowed to buy a stake in a U.S. licensed bank, which would need to be approved by federal regulators. Banking veterans say it's hard to believe that regulators would have knowingly allowed FTX to gain control of a U.S. bank, end quote. So look, I don't know what's happening here, but doesn't it make you wonder if perhaps the United States government didn't know about this or didn't approve it? And that's why they picked a small bank where it would be easy to kind of bamboozle them or maybe tantalize them with extreme funds, because for a bank, I mean, yeah, it's fine. $10 million is a lot to like just about anybody on the planet, but for a bank, that's nothing. Even a small bank, it's just like, that's not a particularly large, like that's a small bank. That's not particularly big. And so you're talking about more money flowing in. Did they look the other way and regulations be damned? There are only 3 people there. I don't know. What can I say though? Like, we do just assume that the government say, yeah, that's fine. Just go ahead and do that. Are you really? If that happened, that would be shocking. That really would be shocking here. So I'm just sitting here wondering, what is going on? What was the purpose? Are they trying to hide money? I don't know how you launder it in that way because it's on the books. I mean, normally if you launder money, it's like you do like they did in Breaking Bad, and you like get a damn car wash or something. You know what I'm saying? Launder money that way. I don't know how that would look here. Some people had posited that idea, and if that's so fine, maybe I just am not thinking of how that would somehow launder money. If you guys know, drop me a comment below. I'm just not seeing it, but maybe I could be missing something. So wild stuff. So I just wanted to highlight how disgusting the media coverage is of Sam Bankman-Fried here. And look, everything's going to ultimately be fine in the future. It's just a lot of people have to go through a lot of pain because of this. Markets have absolutely tanked, but there's going to be a bottom if we haven't already seen it. And better times in the future. I firmly believe that. Because cryptocurrencies are valuable. They make business opportunities available that otherwise could not exist. That's valuable. Humans don't just discard that. They discard the rest of the crap. You get the scammers out of here, get all the idiots out, and what you have left ultimately is just the good stuff. So optimistic for the future. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon family sedan.